In order to pay off my debts, I climbed onto the bed of the Prince of the Beijing Circle. When I felt his 8-pack ABS, I realized that I had climbed onto the wrong bed. I was not on the bed of the Prince of the Beijing Circle, but the bed of the Emperor of the Beijing Circle, the prince's father. Later, I acted like a spoiled child and asked for the stars in the sky, and he gave me a sky full of romance. The main text begins. Holding the Gilded Room card, I mustered up the courage to push open the door. I finally compromised. After the only supporting actress role was rejected, the agent handed me the room card of the Prince of the Beijing Circle. Yuruanan, accept the unspoken rules as soon as possible. This is your last chance. The hospital called and said that my grandfather's condition had worsened again and he urgently needed 500,000 for surgery. The bank informed me that the 200,000 loan I owed was overdue and would freeze my credit card tomorrow. With no other options, I chose to take a shortcut. In the dim environment, a figure lay quietly on the big bed. I slowly walked to the head of the bed and found that the man was already asleep. My agent's instructions came to my mind. Climbing the bed means taking off your clothes and getting under the quilt. I stood at the head of the bed and took off my clothes. The air was slightly cool, and goosebumps soon appeared on my skin. I held back my shame, carefully lifted the quilt, and lay down next to the man. But the man was already asleep, and I didn't know what to do. This was the last chance. If I didn't grasp it, my grandfather wouldn't be able to have surgery. In desperation, I touched the man's broad spine. The next moment, a pair of hands tightly grasped my neck, and the feeling of suffocation immediately invaded, and tears flowed uncontrollably. Help! The man finally let go before he fainted. Oxygen rushed into my lungs, and I coughed uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to climb your bed. I'm leaving now, I struggled, regardless of whether I was exposed or not. The instinct for survival prompted me to escape from here. A quilt suddenly covered my head. Put on your clothes. The man's hoarse voice sounded behind me. With red eyes, I poked my head out from under the quilt, only to see the man resting with his back to me. I turned around in a hurry, put on the cloth on the floor, and was about to run. Stop. The man's hoarse voice sounded behind me. 当时两位人拍普通与台州的选票呢非常的接近。这后啦 Are you Ruanan? His tone left no room for doubt. I covered my face with clothes and lied. Mr. Shen Xinghe, you've got the wrong person. I'm not him. Oh, the man walked towards me step by step. I won't make a mistake. You want to climb into Shen Xinghe's bed? Unfortunately, I'm not him. I looked up in surprise and only then realized that the man in front of me was not the Prince of the Beijing Circle. I wanted to cry but had no tears. I can even climb into the wrong bed. Is there anyone more useless than me in this world? I'm sorry, sir. I'm very sorry. I was interrupted by him. He lifted my chin, his expression gloomy. Why do you want to climb the bed? I bit my lip and said with shame, I have no money. His frown immediately relaxed. How much money do you need? The man's pressure seemed to be able to see through me, and I answered truthfully, 500,000 for Grandpa's surgery and 200,000 to pay off debts. His relaxed brows frowned again, that's all? I closed my eyes in shame and anger. For those rich people, 700,000 is just the money for a bag, but for me, this 700,000 can make me abandon my dignity. After a silence, he said, where are you going later? I thought of my grandfather in the hospital. When I reacted, I had already sat in the Maybach that the man drove to the hospital. From the conversation just now, I learned that he was Shen Kuanting, the father of the Prince of the Beijing Circle, the Emperor of the Beijing Circle. I really want to know how a 35-year-old man has a 23-year-old son, but I dare not. He seemed to see my doubts and explained lightly, Shen Xing, he is a child of my maternal aunt. For some reasons, he was registered under my name. According to blood relationship, I am his uncle. I shook my head. The grudges between the rich are really deep. Shen Haohe Shen Fuanting asked me about my grandfather's condition while driving. After learning that I had to borrow money for my grandfather's surgery, his brows were completely twisted. Global black card, no upper limit. He handed me a black card casually, but I was so shocked that I hesitated and dared not take it. I have never seen such a strange man. He disturbed his good dream. Not only did he not blame me, but after learning about my tragic experience, he personally sent me to the hospital. This is strange enough, not to mention that he handed me another black card. Is this the habit of rich people, Mr. Shenhao Kaikia? I reluctantly gave it up. He was silent, and his whole body was written with unquestionable. I silently put away the black card and gave him a thumbs up in my heart. Grandpa's lesion is that the blood vessels compress the brain nerves, and he will be unconscious when he gets sick. Just like now, no matter how I explained, he thought Shen Ting was his son-in-law. What a good boy, so handsome. My daughter has a good eye. He pulled Shen Ting and praised him. I apologized to Shen Yunting awkwardly. No need to apologize, she said lightly, turned around and decoded. Grandpa, I am Annen's boyfriend, Shen Xianhe. The doctor on the ward also joked. Young man, work harder. You haven't chased the girl yet? I was completely helpless. After Grandpa was coaxed to sleep, Shen Yunting went to handle the transfer procedures. He booked a top private hospital and invited a full set of experts to take over Grandpa. After arriving at the private hospital, Grandpa's ward was more luxurious than my old and broken home. I had to sigh again. Superpowers are strong. After settling Grandpa, Shenhun's Tao Hoquentomed, I walked out of the hospital shoulder to shoulder. I plucked up the courage to break the silence, Mr. Shenhun, you are such a good person. I really thank you. When I have the ability, I will definitely repay you well. I watched his reaction carefully. Shen Ting looked down at me, his lips pursed into a line. After a long time, he said calmly, What do I want? Don't you understand yet? My brain was working fast. You saw my talent and are going to focus on training me and let me be the queen of the screen. I tried. Don't worry, I will never forget your cultivation. The air pressure around him was even lower. Yuan An, are you really stupid or are you pretending? The doubts in my little head deepened. When I saw that he was holding an attitude of, I won't let you go if I can't guess it, a phone call saved my life. It was my agent. I turned around and turned the volume down to the minimum and carefully answered the phone. But the roar from the other side had already come over. Yuan An, I asked you to climb into bed. Where did you climb to? Shenxing, he has been stolen away by another woman a long time ago. You are such a fool. Pig brain. I fool without any cells in your brain. I listened to these insults, embarrassed and wrong. I'm sorry. A hand snatched my phone. Shen Hongting said coldly to the agent who was insulting me on the other end of the phone, You are fired. Then she hung up the phone. Yuan An, is this the attitude of your agent? I wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes, tried my best to smile, and said self-deprecating lie. Am I a supporting actor? Because I am a supporting actor, the agent can insult me, the actors look down on me, and I don't even have a box. I thought I was used to it, but when someone pointed out that this was wrong, my tears kept flowing. Shen Hongting wiped away the tears from my eyes with her fingertips and said coldly, Shen Entertainment Group will never want such an agent. I will arrange a better agent for you. Thank you. I lowered my head and didn't dare to look him in the eye. This person is a little too good to me. What exactly does he want to do? Ruan An. I heard his firm voice. I am to you. The next moment, my stomach growled. The atmosphere was a little awkward. I blushed and tried to smooth things over, Mr. Shenhao. I'm here to treat you to a meal as a thank you, although I may not be able to repay your kindness. Yeah, he said lightly. I seemed to sense his displeasure after being interrupted. Mr. Sheng, there is a small restaurant next to the hospital that is particularly delicious. I pointed to a restaurant across the street and shared excitedly, but immediately shut up. He would definitely not eat at such a fly restaurant. With his status, it must be a high-end restaurant. I silently mourned for my wallet for a second. Let's go. Xiang Huanting strode forward. Have you accepted the fly shop so quickly? This fly shop is the one I have been eating at since my grandfather was hospitalized. It is economical and delicious. The proprietor saw me and greeted me happily. Seeing Shen Huanyu behind me, she smiled crookedly. You have a boyfriend so soon. He is really handsome. No wonder you don't like the person my sister-in-law introduced to you. I tried my best to explain that there was nothing between Shen Ting and me, but everyone just smiled and circled between the two of us. The lady boss smiled and said, "Little girl, she ordered all your favorite dishes. She really cares about you." I looked at the menu in surprise. It was indeed all my favorite dishes. I sat in front of her in shock and asked, "How do you know my taste?" "We have only known each other for less than 3 hours." Shen Yunting raised his eyebrows and smiled. "The secret cannot be revealed. After dinner, I plan to catch the last bus home." Shen Ting wanted to take me home again, and his face was full of irresistible expressions. Well, I couldn't refuse him. He took me all the way to the door of my house. I thanked him again and opened the door suddenly. I was about to close it when I went home. A pair of hands pressed the door. Shen Yunting poked his head out from the crack of the door, stared at me, and said lightly, "Don't you want me to sit at your home?" Of course I didn't want to. Who wants others to find out that their house is a mess like a garbage dump? But after spending 3 hours with him, I have understood his domineering personality. I pushed open the door and said to myself, "Welcome to the garbage dump." My house is very small and I can see the whole picture from the door. With his height, he could see the garbage in the whole house with just one glance. He stood at the door and froze for 2 seconds. "I have stopped you from coming to my house," I said weakly. "I just didn't clean the house today." "You came at such a bad time. It's a very choo." She chuckled and walked into the house over the coffee table. I quickly invited her to sit on the sofa and turned to the kitchen to pour her some water. When I came out with the cup, Shen Ting frowned and seemed to be looking for something in the house. When he saw me, he asked, "Where's Mao Mao?" "What?" I couldn't believe my ears. How could he know Mao Mao, my kitten? After I moved to this community, I found this little kitten in a trash can and named it Mao Mao. After my grandfather fell ill, he also fell seriously ill. I couldn't afford to treat his illness, so I gave him to a kind person to adopt. "How do you know Mao Mao?" I asked in disbelief. "Please tell me first, where did Mao Mao go?" he said anxiously. I lowered my head to hide the pain in my eyes. I couldn't afford to raise it, so I gave it to someone else. At that time, I even skipped meals to treat it. But after Grandpa fell ill, I couldn't afford to raise Mao Mao, even if I emptied my pockets. It's hungry and cold with me, so it's better to go to a family that can't read it. Perhaps seeing my suppressed emotions, Xiang Huanting rubbed my head and whispered, "How was married happily in other families?" "Yeah," I said sullenly, staring into his eyes and asking, "Shen Hui, do you know so much about me?" A smile slowly rose in the corners of his eyes, and he pretended to be mysterious and said, "I want to tell you now, but now I want to tell you when I'm ready." Wow, this man has a sense of ritual. The next day, a knock on the door woke me up. This old and small house can't even deliver takeout. The knock on the door so early, I guess someone went to the wrong door. I opened the door in a daze and saw Shen Yunting standing outside. She was wearing a coat and looked dusty. My sleepiness was scared away to sky god. I have a swollen face, big hair, and loose pajamas. How can I meet people like this? Not to mention Shen Po and Ting. "Wait for me." I closed the door and rushed back to the room. I put on makeup with the fastest hand speed in my life, and then opened the door to greet Shen Yun Ting. Seeing me, her eyes lit up. "You changed your makeup?" "Yes, I often used this style before. Last night, in order to climb into bed, I deliberately put on a pure and charming makeup with small white flowers. Here you go." He raised his hands behind his back in front of me. I've been looking for it all night. His thin but strong hands held a cat cage, and I could clearly see through the gap. It was Mao Mao. Oh, my God! Mao Mao seemed to have heard my call, climbed out of the cage, threw himself into my arms, and started rolling. I hugged Mao Mao and sucked hard, and my scalp was numb with pleasure. "Mr. Shao, thank you." I can no longer express my gratitude to Shen Yin Ting in words. He is almost like my second parent. No wonder he looked a little tired this morning. It turned out that he hadn't slept all night looking for the cat. As expected of an old man, he is considerate. "Missy, there is better news waiting for you." A female voice came from behind Shen Huan Ting. I only noticed at this time that there was a woman behind Shen Huan Ting. "Miss Yi, I will be your agent in the future. Just call me Sister Wang." The woman looked at me with a smile. After I saw the woman's appearance clearly, I almost couldn't stand still. This turned out to be Wang Nienyu, a top agent, a legendary agent who trained 3 movie emperors into movie queens. I knew Shen Yun Ting would change my agent, but I never expected that she would give me this big Buddha. Sister Wang walked up to me and handed me a stack of scripts. This is a script I selected for you. You are the heroine. I took the script. This is the script I prepared for half a year, but was finally snatched by others. I remember you liked this script very much, so I invested and chose you as the heroine. Shen Ting stroked the cat comfortably and said lightly, "How did he know that I liked this drama?" Shen Ting's understanding of me made me a little scared. We went to the set in the nanny car, and the atmosphere in the car was a little ambiguous. I pretended to read the script, but in fact my eyes kept glancing at Shen Ting. Shen Ting seemed to be stroking the cat, but she was secretly adjusting her collar. Sister Wang went down very tactfully and took a taxi to the set. I broke the silence first. Shen Ting, thank you for helping me all the time yesterday. I will definitely repay you in the future. How do you want to repay me? He looked up, his eyes full of aggression. That I work hard to move bricks, work diligently, and create value for the company. His eyes became darker and darker, and my voice became smaller and smaller. Not enough. He interrupted me and then asked back, "You should know what I want in your heart." The look he gave me was not innocent. Well, I was a little speechless in my panic. Is this old man really going to confess to me in this situation? Ruanan, I hope what I say next won't scare you. At this moment, I saw caution in his eyes. I actually fell in love with you 3 years ago. I admit that I imagined Shen Ting falling in love with me at first sight. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain why he suddenly treated me, a little actor who is not well known, so well. But I really didn't expect that our fate had already started 3 years ago. The first time we met was at the entrance of the company. It was raining heavily. There was an old man in a wheelchair trapped on the road. At that time, there was a group of people hiding from the rain under the eaves of the company, but only you rushed into the rain and pushed the old man out. When you came back with wet hair, you looked like a kitten in the rain. At that time, I fell in love with you at first sight. After saying these words, his eyes softened when he looked at me. Later, I knew you and followed your WIBO. But one time you forgot that I walked out of the bathroom and Yehaner chased me again. What are you proud of? You are a jinx without a father or a mother. Your parents deserve to die in a car accident, and your grandfather deserved to be in the hospital. At that moment, the string in my head snapped. Someone once told me that the agent who PUA me once changed jobs and talked about my tragic experience at the dinner table to please others. I had just entered the entertainment industry at that time and didn't believe that someone could be so unethical. But now it seems that he really did such a thing. Yehaner smiled triumphantly. Did I say that? You're destined to be poor all your life, and you still want to turn things around with this TV show? The next second, a slap landed firmly on his face, interrupting his laughter. He covered his swollen face and looked at me in shock. I looked down at him with my height advantage. Your mouth stinks so much. Did you just have a snack in the toilet? If you keep spewing shit, I won't hit your face. How dare you hit me? Yehaner made a sharp explosion. His eyes wanted to tear me apart. The raised hand was about to land on my face, and the next second I fell into a warm and generous embrace. Shen Yun Ting Yehaner slapped steadily. Yehaner looked at him in shock. Who are you? Get out. Shen Ting disdained to pay attention to him, lowered his head and carefully checked my hand. The skin is broken. His tone was full of anger. I looked over. There was an almost invisible wound on my index finger. If you don't see a doctor, the wound will heal. Our quarrel attracted a crowd of onlookers. Shen He also came over. Seemed to have grabbed a life-saving straw. Xinghe, these 2 bitches are bullying me. You must stand up for me. The onlookers were talking about it, waiting for the prince to rush to the throne for his beloved. Shang Xinghe, with a rebellious aura, slowly stood in front of us, and his eyes swept over Shen Yinting and me fiercely. The atmosphere was solemn, but the faces of the onlookers were full of excitement to watch the fun. Just as everyone was looking forward to it, Shen Xinghe, wearing snake stud earrings and a black dress, spoke. Hello, uncle. Hello, aunt. I heard the sound of a group of people's jaws being dislocated. Yeah, Shen Wan Ting said lightly, but her voice was majestic without anger. Shen he, take care of your people. He pulled me out of the crowd, and behind me came the quarrel between he and Shen he is your uncle, but I'm your girlfriend. Why don't you support me? I give you 500,000 a month so that you can slay her well, not think that you are my girlfriend. Oh, it turns out that it is a stand-in. The filming progress continued as usual. Hainer, who was ridiculed by the crowd, never bothered me again, but instead showed his courtesy. When you are in a high position, everyone treats you well. Because of my own experience, I care about the matching of family status in a marriage. Shen Ting said, when your wealth and status accumulate to a certain height, there is no difference between ordinary people and a wealthy family. You don't have to care about the class difference between the two of us. But can I really not care? If he just plays with me and then gives me a sky breakup fee, we are both willing to fight and suffer. But when he carefully bandaged my wound in the car, I found that I seemed to be really moved. Facing his experience and status, I felt like I was walking a tightrope on a cliff. Maybe I have been too suspicious these days. Shen Ting asked me what I really think. After I told her, she also pondered for a long time. After a long time, she looked at me cautiously, her eyes full of sincerity and frankness. And Anna, I will never break up with you. It was this sentence again, and I was almost immune to it. I lowered my head and said perfunctorily, after I washed up in the evening, I saw Shen Ting smoking on the balcony. The evening breeze blew up the corners of her clothes, and with the face looming in the smoke, I actually saw a trace of fragility in this indestructible man. Seeing me, he waved his hand to dispel the smoke, walked towards me, and bent over to embrace me. I heard his beating heartbeat. Nana, I am 10 years older than you. Compared with boys of your age, I am too boring. I am really afraid that one day you will meet someone younger. He stopped talking halfway. I chuckled and suddenly felt that he became childish. A big CEO. How could he suddenly get jealous and be so uneasy? I replied him, no, there won't be that day. But I didn't expect that this day would come so soon. Shen Hong's birthday is coming soon. I planned to go home early to give her a surprise. When I carefully opened the door, he was standing in front of the French window and making a phone call. In the empty house, the clear echo of his phone content came. It's just a little actor, just for fun. How can you take it seriously? The old man is sick and sent to the best hospital for treatment. Don't think you can control me with this. I won't get married. I stood there blankly and the blood in my body froze. So that's it. Unexpected? This is obviously reasonable. The plot of The Prince and Cinderella only appears in fairy tales. But what happened between Shen Huanqing and me is reality. In fact, if you think about it carefully, we have only known each other for 4 months. 4 months is enough time for him, the president, to get tired of me. If I were him, wouldn't it be a simple thing to give some money and show goodwill? Just like rescuing stray puppies, you can get the love of a puppy without paying much. If you play like this, life will become wonderful, right? I quietly withdrew, pretending to be ignorant, and cheered up to celebrate his birthday. When the clock struck 12, he looked into my eyes and said, my wish is to be with you forever. Bah, liar. I asked him, Young Ting, are you happy? I am very happy to have you by my side. If it were before, I would be so happy that I would fly and ask him for a kiss. But now my heart is calm. I smiled bitterly. The smile on his mouth froze. Shen Ting, let's break up. I turned my head to cover the tears in my eyes. He seemed to have never thought that I would say such a thing, and it took him a long time to come back to his senses. Why? Can you give me a reason? Reason? The reason is that I think it is not worth being with you. I dare not look at his eyes. I am afraid that I will be completely soft-hearted and abandon my dignity to be his daughter. I'm sorry for wasting 124 days of your time. The first love in my life ended in this way, which I think is ridiculous. After moving out of Shen Ting's house, I packed my luggage and went to the hospital to pick up my grandfather. My grandfather's illness has been completely cured. When he was awake, he told me that he wanted to travel with me. Now that I have money, I can finally accompany him to realize this wish. I handled the discharge procedures for my grandfather and turned around to see the old man waiting for me excitedly behind. Girl, take me home. No, Grandpa, I will take you to travel around the world. I took the luggage. What if you want to go home? He asked. Then go back to our home, the small yard in that small town. I pushed the wheelchair towards the gate. Then you and my son-in-law's home will not go back. He asked anxiously. The son-in-law refers to Shen Yunting. I nodded. Never go back again. The old man scratched his head and digested my words. After a period of hard thinking, he patted my hand. Girl, Grandpa, I support any decision you make. Yeah. I looked up to prevent tears from falling. My grandfather and I had enough money for the trip, a full 27 million. 7 million was the pay for the TV series, and the remaining 20 million was the breakup fee from Shen Yinting. When the 20 million notification arrived, I finally became the rich woman of my dreams. I admit that I was a little ecstatic, but more of it was heartbreaking. She said she would never break up, but in the end, there was no attempt to persuade her to stay, and even the breakup fee was paid so quickly. When we traveled to City A, the city was holding a beer festival. Grandpa happily took me to drink beer. But I can only drink 1 glass of alcohol, and after 2 glasses of beer in the chaotic crowd, I was drunk. In a daze, everyone looked like Shen Yanting to me. My daughter doesn't cry easily unless she is sad. Shen He Shou Huai, am I so funny? I am a little actor, but I am not your puppy. Now, Mao Mao in my family status, but why am I so humble in front of you? Don't mess with me for the grudges of the rich. Since you don't want to get married, why do you still want to date me? All relationships that are not for the purpose of marriage are hooliganism. I really thought that we were going to get married. After the TV series was broadcast, I kept my promise and made my relationship with him public. At that time, he interacted with me on Weibo and showed off his wife in a high-profile manner. Everyone said that he was truly in love with me, and I believed it. I even ignored the problems we had because of the impulse of the passionate love period. And Annan, so this is what you think. A familiar voice sounded, and I fell into a familiar embrace. Did I hear it right? I looked up blankly. Shadowing figure blocked the light, and his eyes in the shadow were full of sincerity. Come home with me. I'll explain everything to you. Grandpa's voice came. My daughter, I found someone for you. You two have a good chat. With Shen Yunting's explanation, I finally figured out what those 2 sentences meant. It's just a little actor, just for fun. How can you take it seriously? This sentence was sent to Shen Xingyi because He Hainer had been pestering him. He used this sentence to sneer at He Hainer. The old man is sick. Send him to the best hospital for treatment. Don't think you can control me with this. As for this sentence, it was for Shinar Xingyi to tell his marriage partner that he would not go home for marriage. Listening to his logical explanation, my brain crashed for a moment. It turned out that I really misunderstood. I was ashamed and proud and whispered, I misunderstood you, sorry. He hugged me and whispered, love makes people timid. When you broke up with me, I didn't have the courage to explore the deeper reasons. Fortunately, we didn't miss each other. Shen Ting took me back to the old house. In the old house, I met Shen Sheng, he and his legendary childhood sweetheart. He Hainer really looked a bit like him. After he went abroad, Shen Sheng he looked for a substitute like crazy. Now it seems that the conflicts and misunderstandings between the two have been resolved. The head of the Shen family was very kind to me. I guess he was scared by Shen Ting's unmarried life for many years. When he saw me, he gave me a super thick red envelope with gratitude in his eyes. After dinner, I took a walk in the yard with Shen Xing, his childhood sweetheart. We got along well. The childhood sweetheart suddenly asked, when will you and Uncle Shen get the marriage certificate? I was startled and looked at Shen Yunting. Her eyes were full of expectations, but she said nothing and left the decision to me. The boat has passed through thousands of mountains, and I think the two of us can give each other the rest of our lives. It can be now as long as he has time. Shen Huanting looked at me excitedly, and there were tears in her eyes. Sister, you still have execution ability? Xiao King said without laughing, then I will also get the marriage certificate with Xingyi. The four of us were stunned at first, and then we laughed at the same time. That night, the four of us got the marriage certificate. Mr. Shen, I will be with you for the rest of my life. Please give me more advice. When I got the certificate, I thought about the class differences I would face after marrying Shen Yunting. Although I had Shen Huanting as my backer, no one dared to bully me, but I got a headache when I thought of those upper-class exchange meetings and socialite meetings. But after getting married, I understood what pampering was. He could always refuse the dances I didn't want to attend without showing any emotion. Later, as I gradually got used to it, I found that the so-called socialite intrigues were not as exciting as the entertainment industry. The experience of being suppressed gave me a strong heart. Coupled with my acting skills, I gradually became proficient. A long time later, when I was pregnant, I suddenly realized that we really spent many years in peace, stability, and warmth. I looked at Shen, who was studying motherhood knowledge, seriously and whispered to her, "Thank you. Thank you for coming into my world." The man looked up at me as if he had some realization. Seeing me looking at him, he smiled as well and walked towards me step by step. 3 months had passed. The feeling of being touched in my heart disappeared in an instant. This person is taking advantage of me. I will never praise you again. Humph!